Hello, so this is my video on the fourth industrial revolution by Klaus Schwab. Um, I want to start off with talking about a little bit about the author. He's the founder of the World Economic Forum, which is a forum which is dedicated to congregate leaders and decisions makers in order to shape a better future for the whole humanity. And I think what Klaus Schwab planned with this World Economic Forum is really important, and I do cheer him up and him and other big enterprise and big entrepreneurs to do this kind of thought, because he's in the position and he's and he has more power to decide stuff. So I didn't know about him, and I even thought the World Economic Forum was some sort of UN branch or international or political organization. But the fact that it's been created by the private sector, by this Klaus Schwab, I think it's a really good insight about that there's still good people doing good things for the humanity in the big leagues. That is not everything CEOs and revenues and Wall Street, you know. So taking in consideration all of these accomplishments, I think he's the guy to speak about the path in which humanity is heading towards, and all of these technological advances he talks about in his book are already a reality. And I like the fact that he broadly and generally mentions them, and he says his view about them, but in a way that they're interconnected into the concept of the fourth industrial revolution. So I want to start off with telling that I actually a few weeks ago I was like really, kind of stressed, kind of worried about this pathway and that the future is taking, because I started to notice how bad the climate was here in my city, and I heard that we are going through a really big drought here in the whole country in Mexico. And I don't know, like when I started to hear all of this, well, yeah, bad news and all of these realities that we're and challenges we're facing, I do get a little bit anxious, because it is my future that I'm talking about, and I felt really concerned because yeah, like I felt like my future was being threatened. But when I started reading the book, it actually like gave me another perspective, and because of I didn't envision how all of these technologies and could actually help to harness the true potential and to aid us as humanity to create a better future for ourselves. I want to take out this concept of revolution. Revolution, as the author says, it automatically denotes that it is some drastic change that it happens over the years, and and in general, it's some radical changes into how the society works and carry themselves, how people do things. But this revolution, this fourth industrial revolution, is way different than the previous ones, just because of the fact that it is growing at an exponential rate rather than a linear way. Like he even says, and it's proven that there's still people who don't have access to electricity, not to even imagine internet or a phone, which is something that we as the developed or so-called developed countries take for granted. and is like the basis in order to start to grow in the fourth industrial revolution. Yeah, as I said, this one's different just because of that fact that it's growing exponentially, and the fact that the second and third industrial revolution characteristics are not entirely consolidated to this day, because of this fact that there are still people who don't have access to basic stuff. You know, I study in automotive engineering, and most of what I take out of this book is I want to relate it to my career because it's what I'm interested of. But if I want to talk about a little bit more general about this topic, what I want to really liked about this is this concept of biomimicry, and biomimicry, and this way of integrating the physical, the technological, and the biological aspects of the advances. This is the best way in order to collectively grow as a species and with technology in a path that is beneficial for both of us. And I want to emphasize biomimicry because I think like if we only might get to imagine how many years of research and development nature has in comparison with this relatively new technological advances, with like the artificial intelligence, that it has only a few years and maybe less than a decade. I think biomimicry is like the best. I mean, copying biology, which is the definition of biomimicry, is the best way for us to conduct ourselves as with the developments that we do, just because of this fact that it has so many years in development. And what else could be more perfect than that? And I really like that he addresses this topic, and he really points it out that technological advance should be in that way, of that virtuous cycle. Another thing that I remember that I really liked is this table of the called the tipping points, which are like the historical milestones that we have to go that we're going to go through as a humanity, that really mark when a technological advance has completely taken over how we do things. One that really stood out for me was the year in which 10% of the cars in the roads will be autonomous. That for me, as I see it will be, it's almost unimaginable, just because of the fact that we don't actually have much autonomous vehicle other than maybe Teslas, and these ones that Google's developing. Yeah. What other milestone I want to remember? Yeah, 3D printing. 3D printing for me is another technological advance that I really like a lot, and I really think it's the way that we're gonna build things in the future, because I think it's again really inspired by how nature builds itself. I mean, and maybe even, I don't know, in the future we're gonna create materials, and like these intelligent materials, like almost like the body, like the cells, that they regenerate themselves, and everything is interconnected inside the body. What else? Oh yeah, the automation leaving a lot of people out of job. You know, I want to be really optimistic about this because I think, well, he in the book he actually places the both sides, which are the people that are like against technology, and they say that that technology is going to take over a lot of jobs inevitably. And there's this other like positive side that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of jobs and tasks that are going to be automated and completely completely replaced by robots and automation. But I mean, if we only imagine like, I don't know, 20 years ago, who would imagine there will be jobs like the guys who make surveillance in the metaverse or in the social media? I mean, that's an insight of how technology and these technological advances, yeah, they're taking over tasks, but they are constantly needing innovation and creating more jobs in order for people to take over. I think innovation is the main driver for this, and I think it's what we should care for the most, because that's what brought us to this point in the first place. I mean, if you think about, I don't know, 50 years ago, well, I don't know, but it's a way of seeing things. I mean, things. I mean, people was relatively fine in the way they live. I mean, cars were already on the roads. They had electricity, they had entertainment, they had medical services, medical advances. But I think it's in the human nature to fulfill our needs, to innovate, and to always seek for more, and to imagine new stuff. I mean, yeah, like I say, we tend to copy biology, but there's a point that we, I think, as humanity, there's a point that we get bored of how things are in the moment, that it's inevitable that we're going to continue developing new technology, new advances, and we're going to need more people to work on these collective purposes. Now, the challenge of inequality and these polarized societies he talks about regarding technology. The example that comes to my mind first is a chapter of this series of Black Mirror, where there's people who have like these things in their eyes that allow you to remember stuff, or to have like a stream service in your eyes. But they are also there's this chapter that they show how one with their own eyes can block someone's identity, and they cannot see each other. And the worst scenario that chapter plans is a guy who's been freed out of prison, but he is blocked by everyone, so nobody could see him, and he can't see anybody, and they just see like this digital shadow. That, for me, that plants a really clear example of how technology can radicalize this polarization and inequality, and yeah, and like grow this inequality of for societies, because it's yeah, because it can practically apply those intentions, those cultural aspects that those cultural challenges that we have yet to overcome. Other example is I read it in the book of Homo Deus by Yuval Noah Harari, is that we are already capable of defining the gene sequence in order to build, like literally build or create a person. And that, I mean, looking to the bright side of that is that we're gonna have people with less disabilities, with less diseases, and but as soon as we allow people to just do what they want with their genes and create whatever they want, I mean, there's gonna be like superhumans with a lot of intelligence, like they're super pretty and super, I don't know, physically capable, and remembering like the times of the Nazism and Hitler, that's like basically the same principle, like inequality based on human capabilities. And I think in that way, these technological advances will will radicalize that aspect of humanity. I mean, nowadays we have people who are like completely changing themselves with surgeries and in like for mostly for aesthetic purposes. But as soon as we start to make to have the ability to just like change whatever we want in order to better ourselves, it's going to generate a drastic inequality in people, because those those things are only be able for the people who have money to have access to that. Okay, another aspect that really crossed my mind was this the redefining of the individual identities. In the past, I mean, we as Homo sapiens, we grew in like the group, like the community, and we as individuals, like our main goal was to belong to that group, because that group was going to protect you and to give you a shelter and to give you, yeah, like this emotional support that we need to. And then fast forward to like the middle age, there was like these like small villages and people that were really proud of them, and they defend the village, and there was like the carpenter, the doctor, like everyone, well, at least from my point of view, like there was people who had a specific role, and you trusted the community to for them to take care of you. But nowadays we substituted that for capitalism, and you expect that capitalism is going to take care of you. I mean, what I mean by that is, if you have money, you have access to hospitals, you have access to food, you have access to yeah, amenities, and that is going to take care of you. I mean, in the survival aspect, and like taking it a little bit further. Yeah, but in the book they talk about like redefining the individual identities, because like I say, individuals tend to identify themselves with this tribe and these families and ethnic group, like cultural aspect, or even a language, as they say. But now, like the ability to connect with humans, like mostly everywhere around the world, is opening up possibilities for us to connect with more like specific kind of people, and that is completely redefining the identity that we individuals take part of. Because in the old times there was this factors that we just had to take for granted and had to conform with, like this living in a city, living in a family. But nowadays we don't need that anymore, because like I say, if I have money, hospitals will take care of my health, and if I have money, I can travel to wherever I want, and if I have access to internet, I can get to know people on, like, I don't know, Tinder or an Instagram, and grow myself in whatever way that I want So I think we should be really conscious of that, and not to sound like conservative, but I think there's certain spiritual and like traditional aspects that we humans are not entirely adapted to just like go out on the world and seek for whatever we want and um and forget about all the good traditions and the good things that we have in, for example, Mexican families, like the support, like the love. um, so yeah, I think that that shift in individual identification has to be really conscious and has to take in consideration the basic and aspects of like the tribe, like the community, the family, and yeah, it's like maybe psychological aspects of the being that are really important regarding um, actuality.